It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
And we're the Insiders. So, Scott, the Audit Committee is interested in looking at the DPI and in particular at what Superintendent Underly is doing over there related to certain issues that have arisen. In fact, there was even a unanimous vote by the Audit Committee. So what's going on and what's the implications for public education and for Jill Underly?
Well, the dumpster fire that is the Department of Public Instruction is just going to continue to burn. You and I had heard last year that there are all sorts of issues at this agency, that these issues were going to come out during the campaign, but they really didn't come out during the campaign. They have all come out after the campaign. And some of them are really quite disturbing. The story about that the Capital Times broke, not exactly normally a partisan source favoring Republicans. The Capital Times broke a great story that pointed out that a scary story that there were 200 teachers whose licenses were not necessarily revoked despite some misconduct and some bad behavior. Stuff that the sort of things that make parents very nervous about sending their kids to school. At the same time, the department put out new school report cards, but because they lowered the cut score so far down on the state test, not a single school in Wisconsin is failing, despite the fact that some of them cannot teach a single child to read at grade level. That's apparently not failure now at the Department of Public Instruction. So we have dishonest report cards, we have cut scores, we have sexual misconduct allegations with regards to teachers, and we have financial mismanagement at the local level and a lack of reporting to the state, which resulted in the state handing out the wrong amount of dollars to certain school districts. This thing is just a disaster. And the surest sign of that was the fact that the vote in committee was unanimous, that there were criticisms of Underly by both Democrats and Republicans, and that the media is now finally picking this up. There is a lot of work to do. This agency is a wreck, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Education is one of the most important issues in this state, and we need to straighten this place out. It's just way too important to our children's future.
First of all, and being an attorney, you always want to note this. Whenever something is a hot button issue and allegations are made, we have to recognize that they are allegations. But it is concerning, certainly concerning topics. And the fact that both Democrats and Republicans are on it, which I respect, and I'm glad to see that we can act occasionally in a bipartisan fashion now is good. There are a lot of things. And recall that Scott and I were talking not long ago about the election that was being held in this race. And Underly got not only it's pretty partisan these days, Republican, although Scott would call it conservative, opponent, but she also got challenged from the progressive side of the spectrum. Name recognition, et cetera, managed to carry her through that. But there were some significant questions raised before about Underly's management of the department. So, and I've talked to people in the department, and there are certainly some questions there. So I think an audit is an appropriate thing. I think that going forward, obviously, this is going to be something that needs to be resolved. Certainly, we don't want any sexual misconduct going on with teachers. And the department is the agency responsible for that. So I think it's important that they get to the bottom of it. And but I also want to try to be somewhat balanced here because it's very easy to go off here and really be aggressively after the individual involved. There apparently was an announcement that she made regarding doing some different things in the department to address at least some of these major concerns. Also, some questions on her part about whether or not the reporting was as accurate as some people might think. So this is not good. It is something that needs to be cleaned up. I'm glad that the audit committee is going to look at it. And hopefully then what they'll have is a very sober look at this And whatever needs to be done will be done, including if additional teachers need to be removed from positions, or if additional information needs to be shared with other school districts, other states, if people are engaged in this type of behavior. My parents were both school teachers. I was proud to be able to watch them teach and to see what they do. We've all gone through school and had some amazing teachers, but we want to make sure that every child has that experience going forward. And whatever it takes to make this right going forward, let's get it done.
There's a lot of work to do here. This story is not over, and we need to turn this agency around. It is just way too important.
We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Insider with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.